The silence in the galactic assembly chamber fractured the second Earth's fleet decloaked over Council Prime. One by one, massive black silhouettes of Terran warships filled the orbital grid. No warning, no declaration, just a storm of steel. They'd missed every summons, every peace negotiation, every vote. For 200 years, Earth had gone silent. The galaxy assumed the Terran had died off or given up. Turns out they were just preparing. Counselor Drizzen, a pale-skinned Valari elder, dropped his ceremonial scepter. The thing clanged against the polished stone as the fleet's shadow passed over the stained glass dome above. "What? What is the meaning of this?" he whispered, voice brittle with disbelief. From orbit came no response. But deep within the warship, at the center of the formation, a dreadnought the size of a moon. One man stood in front of a holographic display, eyes cold, jaw tight. He wore no medals, just a black combat uniform with a single patch. HFY, Earth, Human Forces. The room was silent, except for the sound of his breathing and the deep rumble of 1,000 fusion reactors at his command. His name wasn't important. That was the point. Earth wasn't here to negotiate. Not anymore. "Status," he said, his voice low but steady. "Orbit secured. All comms blocked except our feed. Council planetary defenses are shut down. No resistance. Good. Hold position. Let them sweat." 2 centuries ago, the Galactic Council labeled Earth a low-intelligence backwater world, denied them voting rights, and placed trade sanctions on human systems for refusing to dismantle their military programs. The final insult? Calling humanity a dangerous mistake of evolution. So Earth left. No war, no protest, just silence. And while the rest of the galaxy debated politics and pacifism, Earth turned inward, built in secret, advanced in shadows. No more seeking approval from races who thought themselves better. No more begging for respect. Now they had fleets, armadas, black ships with tungsten armor, AIs that dreamed in war, and captains bred from generations of resentment and preparation. Down on the council floor, panic started to ripple. "Send an envoy," barked a call. "War Minister. Now offer them a diplomatic corridor." "It's too late for that," someone else muttered. "Look at the formation. That's a blockade." A younger counselor leaned in toward Drizzen, trembling. "What? What do they want?" Drizzen stared up at the ships, blotting out the twin suns. "I think they want us to understand what silence meant." Back in orbit, Earth's commander stood before a console. Messages from the council flooded in. Apologies, offers, fear disguised as diplomacy. He didn't read a single one. He opened the transmission channel himself. One feed, one voice, sent directly to every leadership terminal on Council Prime. And he said 3 words. "Meeting denied permanently." The 3 words hung in the air like ash after a fire. Meeting denied permanently. The council assembly hall froze. Every being in that room, dozens of species, hundreds of diplomats, fell into silence. The smugness that once poisoned their speeches was gone. What replaced it wasn't fear. Not yet. It was the quiet horror of knowing that something they'd dismissed had returned with power they couldn't measure. Back in orbit, the Earth Human Forces flagship, the ESV Vindicator, sat motionless, flanked by 10 destroyer squadrons. Its dark hull bore no national flag. Earth had long abandoned borders. One species, one cause, one vengeance. That was all that remained. Inside its command center, the man known only by his call sign, Commander Strike, watched the incoming data flood the display. Council Prime was panicking. Satellites blinded, orbital defenses dead. Their elite fleets spread thin across distant sectors would take weeks to return. "Too slow, sir," a tactical officer said, trying not to sound too eager. "They're requesting a summit. 3 high chancellors are offering unconditional talks." Strake didn't blink. "Tell them Earth doesn't talk to cowards." The officer hesitated, then nodded, and relayed the message. Strike didn't care if it was diplomatic suicide. Earth had already died in the eyes of the galaxy once. They didn't come back for status. They came to show teeth. 200 years ago, Earth sat humbly at the Council's table, asking for nothing but a seat, a voice, and trade routes to survive in a competitive galaxy. In response, they were laughed at, labeled a primitive martial species, denied votes, their embassies vandalized, their colonies taxed into ruin. And when humans resisted, refusing to dismantle their warships or erase their borders, the Council embargoed them, cut them off, then sent observers to oversee Earth's compliance. Observers who mysteriously vanished in orbital accidents. Stress remembered his grandfather served in the Earth Defense Fleet when the Council branded Earth as a hostile rogue state. He'd fought tooth and nail to defend the Sol system while supplies dwindled, fuel was rationed, and entire outposts starved under the weight of alien sanctions. Strike was born under siege. His father raised him with one lesson: they'll only listen when you speak in fire. Now fire was all he knew. On the surface of Council Prime, chaos unfolded beneath the skies, darkened by Terran ships. Civilian traffic grounded. Power grids flickered. Planetary security forces scrambled to deploy drones and mechs, none of which stood a chance against the kinetic payloads those Terran cruisers carried. Everyone knew it. The Council's High Chamber held an emergency session broadcast live to over 30 inhabited sectors. "We must de-escalate," barked Chancellor Ural of the Yther. His silver skin rippled as he spoke. "They want us to be afraid." "No, Chancellor," said Councillor Growl, a blunt-mouthed reptilian. "They want us to remember." A younger diplomat from the Mithari species, a long-limbed scholarly race, turned to the rest with a sick expression. "We should have never blacklisted Earth. They warned us this day would come." Drizzen, the Valari elder, said nothing. He knew this wasn't revenge. This was a lesson, one the galaxy was about to learn the hard way. Back aboard the Vindicator, Strike sat in silence at his private chamber, the flickering display before him showing old footage. Grainy, hidden from the public, scrubbed from official archives. It was from a council hearing dated 2239 AD. A young human ambassador, dressed in a plain black suit, stood before dozens of alien leaders, voice shaking from frustration and restraint. "We don't seek dominance," the ambassador had said. "We only want what every species here has, a future among the stars." The council chambers erupted with jeers, laughter, and condescending comments. One alien, a Takal warlord, even muttered, "Monkeys with bombs." That footage never aired on any public channel. Earth remembered. Straw shut the feed off and stared at the blank wall. "Commander," his comms officer said through the intercom, "we're receiving an unauthorized transmission. Local civilian relay." He frowned. "Source: ground level. Civ level beacon. Audio only. No encryption." Straw tapped a button. "Play it." A voice crackled through the line. Female. Young. Terrified. "This is Daria Mavian, Council Prime Sector 5. If any Terran officer can hear me, please. My son's in the med hub. We've lost power. The shield grid's collapsed. He's 6. He's not part of this. None of us are. Please don't bomb the hospital. Please." Silence. Stragra's jaw flexed. He didn't respond. He didn't need to. He closed the channel. "You going to ignore that?" came a voice from behind. Strike turned. His second-in-command, Major Ray, leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Straw stood up. "She's not the target." "No," Ray said, stepping forward. "But she's not the only civilian praying we don't push that button." "You really think this is how we earn respect?" Straw locked eyes with him. "This isn't about respect," he said flatly. "It's about making them feel what we felt." Reed didn't argue. He knew better. Earth had begged for peace. The galaxy spat in its face. Now it spoke in a different tone. Outside the command center, deck crews loaded silos, powered up planetary warheads, and ran final checks on ship-wide AI targeting systems. They weren't bluffing. Earth never bluffed. Suddenly, a new signal appeared. Not from the Council, not from planetary defense. This one was from deep space, encrypted in Terran military code. "Unknown vessel entering system," a tech officer announced. "No ID. Fast approach vector. It's one of ours." Strike turned sharply. "Ours," confirmed. "Registry code ESV 00001. Experimental designation. Judgment Day." The entire bridge went still. That ship was a ghost. A myth. The first true planet cracker Earth ever built. A ship powered by dark fusion, rumored to be equipped with weaponry banned by every galactic law. "Bring it up," Strike ordered. The screen changed, and there it was. Massive, black as the void. No running lights, no insignias. Just a dead, drifting beast of a warship, slowly entering orbit, like a predator circling prey. "Why now?" Reel muttered. Strike said nothing. He already knew. Earth's leadership had sent it as a message, not just to the Council, but to him. No peace, no retreat, no half measures. A transmission came in, only one sentence. "Command transferred to Judgment Day initiated. Strike, assume full authorization." He stared at the screen for a long second, then nodded. "Link my neural interface." He stepped toward the command cradle as mechanical arms lowered a neural spike harness onto his head. The room dimmed. Data surged through him like lightning. He became part of the ship, and the ship became part of him. And at that moment, for the first time in 200 years, Earth was no longer ignored. It was feared. Down on Council Prime, people saw it, that new ship, and they knew. A ripple of terror spread faster than any official statement could calm. Chancellor Ural collapsed. Others screamed. The sky turned black. Councillor Drizzen stood and addressed the chamber. "There is no treaty. There is no truce. The age of Earth's silence is over." And in the orbit above, Stragra's voice returned to every open frequency, calm and final. "This is the last warning. You denied our voice. You erased our name. Now you answer to it." He paused. Earth doesn't kneel. From orbit, Earth's warships held their line. They didn't maneuver. They didn't launch fighters or fire weapons. They just hovered, dead still, as if daring the planet below to blink first. It was the kind of silence that didn't ask for attention. It demanded it. But everyone on Council Prime knew the focus wasn't on the blockade anymore. It was on the new ship, the one no one dared name, the Judgment Day. The first interstellar war platform Earth built to end planets, not fight wars. And now it hovered there dead center over Council Prime. A black silhouette casting shadow across capital cities, oceans, and entire regions. Down below, panic didn't just grow. It mutated. Riots broke out as people rushed shelters. Council police forces tried to impose order, but it was like trying to cage fire. Civilians looted, screamed, begged the sky for mercy. Entire industries shut down. Transportation hubs overloaded and collapsed. In the high chambers, the council fractured. "This is an extinction threat," Chancellor Ural shouted, slamming his clawed fist onto the table. "They mean to wipe us out." "They haven't fired," countered Councillor Grail, baring his teeth. "Not one shot." "They don't need to fire," someone else screamed. "The whole planet's on its knees." Councillor Drizzen finally spoke, slow and deliberate. "This is how humans speak now. With power, with silence, not like we do. Squabbling, begging, pretending." The room fell silent. "I warned you once," Drizzen said, his voice heavy. 2 centuries ago, I was there when Earth was laughed out of this chamber. You all saw a primitive species with rage in their blood. You dismissed them, punished them, and then forgot them." He gestured toward the dome where shadows from Terran ships crossed the glass. "Well, they didn't forget." Meanwhile, aboard the Judgment Day, Commander Stra stood inside the neural command chamber, veins pulsing with blacklight energy. The ship had synced with his mind now. Every corridor, every weapon, every satellite-connected orbital cannon. It was no longer a vessel. It was an extension of his will. He walked the steel corridor toward the central armory. No guards. He didn't need protection. The ship was his guard. The AI in control of the Judgment Day, Codeine named Argos, spoke directly into his thoughts. "Ready for full system initiation, Commander. Planetary suppression protocol standing by." "Hold," Strike answered aloud. "Let them sweat a little more." He wasn't in a rush. This wasn't a war. It was a lesson. And Earth was going to make damn sure it would be remembered for another 1,000 years. A screen on the wall flickered to life, showing Ree, his second in command, still aboard the Vindicator. "You really going to do this?" Ree asked. "Crack open a planet because of a grudge?" Strake stared through him. "You think this is about hurt feelings? This isn't a tantrum. This is history correcting itself. Earth begged to be part of their world. They slammed the door in our face and told us to die quietly. He turned, eyes hard. Now they're going to hear every scream they ignored, one city at a time. Ray didn't answer. The feed went dead. Down on the surface, the council sent an official envoy, a desperate act. An aged diplomat of the Kirill race, thin, pale-skinned, with drooping fronds for ears, was shuttled alone to orbit in a ceremonial craft. It was unarmed, unshielded, a symbol of surrender. Strike allowed it to dock, let them speak. He had nothing to lose from words. The diplomat stepped onto the Judgment Day's hangar deck and looked up at the towering bulk of Earth's security officers. They said nothing, just marched him to the command chamber. The silence weighed more than any chain. When the diplomat saw a strike, he paused. "Commander, I am not here to beg. I am here to warn. What you're doing, it may feel like justice. But if you fire, if you attack, even Earth will fall eventually. The rest of the galaxy will unite against you." Strike stepped closer. "You think we didn't plan for that? You think Earth came here alone?" He raised his hand, and a hologram of the outer galaxy lit up behind him. More ships. Hundreds. Thousands. Dozens of Terran fleets hidden in uncharted space, staged in border systems on standby. Ships older than the Vindicator, newer than Judgment Day. All of them silent. All of them watching. "You want to talk about war?" Straw asked, voice like iron. "You're already in one. You just didn't know it yet." The diplomat's lips trembled. "What? What do you want?" Straw leaned in. "We want it in writing. That Earth is no longer under Council jurisdiction. That we are to be left alone, unchallenged, unmonitored, and unprovoked. That's it," the diplomat whispered. "Independence." Straw's voice dropped lower. "And we want every Council species to sign a public statement acknowledging Earth's superiority and military strength. No spin, no soft language. We want the galaxy to know who owns the stars now." The diplomat gasped. "You can't expect us to agree to that." Strike smiled for the first time in days. "That's the point." He turned his back and walked away. "Escort him off my ship. If we don't receive the signed declaration in 12 hours, we begin cleansing orbit to surface. First city, central arcology. After that, every planetary capital, one by one." The diplomat didn't speak again. His silence spoke for the entire planet. Back in the council chamber, the ultimatum arrived. Chaos followed. Some races wanted to sign. Others called it a bluff. Some wanted to evacuate. Others wanted to launch a counterstrike. But they all knew they had nothing that could stop what hovered above their skies. And so quietly, the documents were drafted, emergency signatures collected, translations completed. The first official document in galactic history that placed one species above all others, not by culture or intellect, but by force. 12 hours later, the file reached Strike's hands. Earth's recognition, independence, superiority, all of it. He didn't smile, didn't cheer, he just stared. "Send it to Earth Command," he told the AI, and then he paused. "Fire one round." "Target?" the AI asked. Strike thought for a moment, then pointed to an empty ocean west of the southern continent. Let him know this could have gone differently. The main cannon of Judgment Day charged. A dark hum filled the void. No heat, no light. Just a sudden burst of white kinetic fire. It hit the ocean like the fist of God. A crater, 100 kilometers wide, erupted in foam and steam. The wave circled the globe twice. No one died, but everyone understood. Hours later, Earth's fleet pulled back. Not in defeat, but in dominance. Straw watched from his bridge as the planet below slowly spun in silence. No more transmissions, no more politics, just respect. He turned to Ree, who had returned to his side. "You think it's over?" Ree asked. Straw shook his head. "No," he said. "It's just starting. Earth just took the crown. Let's see who tries to steal it." And with that, the Judgment Day disappeared into the black, leaving behind a galaxy that would never again dare ignore Earth's voice. The Judgment Day had vanished. No warp signature, no trail. It was like a ghost ship swallowed by space itself. But its message remained. tattooed into the minds of every living being on Council Prime. Earth had returned, not as a peer, as a warning. And still, even after the treaty was signed, the Council didn't speak in relief. They whispered in fear. It didn't take long before the knives came out. Some races had signed the document gladly, eager to survive. Others did so under protest, gnashing their teeth behind diplomatic smiles. And a few had other ideas entirely. In the outer chambers of the Council complex, far from media feeds and AI monitors, 7 species met in secret. No recorders, no formal council, just power brokers, military advisors, and shadow operatives gathered around a black table. It was called the Iridium Circle, and it had one goal now: retaliation. "This cannot stand," growled War Director Fennell of the Ulrex Dominion, his Catanus armor creaking as he leaned in. "We are the elder races. We shaped this galaxy before Earth crawled out of its mud. Now we cower, while apes swing their cannons. We needed time," whispered Kell of the Ovari, long fingers stroking a datapad. "Survival buys options, but now we rebuild in secret. Earth watches everything," hissed a Krenth commander. "They have black probes seated in half our sectors. You think they don't see us even now?" "They see," came a voice from the shadows. "But they think fear makes us obedient. Let's prove them wrong." The one who spoke stepped into the light. She wasn't from any council world. She was human, or used to be. A former Terran intelligence officer, long exiled, face half burned, voice cracked from torture in her younger years, courtesy of an Earth military tribunal. Her name was Vera Kyle, though she'd long since discarded any allegiance to her home planet. "They call it dominance," she said, "but it's just arrogance dressed in steel. Earth will keep pushing until the rest of you are not just kneeling, but licking boots." Fenjal sneered. "And you propose what?" "I give you coordinates. Earth's next fleet movement. You give me a command post and full clearance to train your black squads." Kell raised an eyebrow. "You're offering intel. Why?" She tapped a button and a star chart appeared. "They're moving assets to Sector H99, a dead zone. No colonies, no outposts, but they're building something there. Something massive." Silence fell. "Shipyard?" one asked. "No," Vera said. "Worse. A relay." Now they understood. A relay wasn't a weapon. It was a system, a way for Earth to control warp traffic across the quadrant, a military chokehold without firing a shot. If they finished it, Earth would be able to monitor, jam, or sever trade and fleet movement across dozens of sectors. It would be strategic slavery. Fennell leaned forward, voice low. "Then we destroy it. Before it goes online," Vera agreed. "I'll get you inside. But once we move, there's no going back. Earth will know." Everyone nodded. The war hadn't ended. It had only just slipped into the shadows. Back on Earth, in the capital city of New Avalon, Commander Strass stood in front of a glass wall overlooking the Pacific Wall defense zone. Massive black pylons rose from the ocean, part of Earth's newly completed orbital defense net. They shimmered with energy, monitored 24/7 by AIG-guided satellites and kill drones. His hands were clasped behind his back. Another man entered the room, older, dressed in a suit, not a uniform, no insignia, no rank. But everyone knew who he was. Director Thorne, head of Earth's Strategic Intelligence Bureau. "You went further than authorized," Thorne said quietly. The Judgment Day was not cleared for visual presence. Strake didn't turn. It was necessary. "We had leverage already." "No," Strakera said, "we had fear. Fear without evidence is just superstition. Now they know what we can do." Thorne stepped closer. "And if they unite against us?" Strike finally turned. "Then we test the rest of the fleet." They stared at each other. Neither blinked. "You sound more like them than us," Thorne said. Stra's face hardened. "I sound like the only man who remembers what they did." He walked past Thorne. "We don't negotiate with cowards. We don't play diplomat. Earth tried that already. All it got us was silence and starvation." He paused at the door. "Now we speak in force. Let the stars adjust." Meanwhile, in deep space, in Sector H99, construction of the relay station continued in silence. Only machines operated here. Massive drones, carving metal from asteroid belts, and assembling it into towering pylons that would stretch between wormhole thresholds. No humans on board, no crew, just AI, which made it all the easier for Vera Kyle's strike team to slip in. They arrived in a stolen freighter, masked by debris fields and false transponder IDs. The Olex had given her everything she needed: stealth suits, pulse charges, and a black squad trained in Zerog infiltration. As they entered the station's inner corridor, Vera tapped into the AI channel. Her old clearance code still worked. A voice echoed through the hallway. "Welcome, Officer Kyle. System integrity at 91%. Relay Alpha Core incomplete. Shall I proceed to manual activation?" She smiled bitterly. "Number not this time." Her squad spread out, planting bombs along the quantum relay generators. Once the charges were set, Vera stood in the control room, hands trembling, lips dry. This was her vengeance, not just against Earth, but against the lie of unity, the myth of peace. But just as she reached for the detonator, a red light blinked on the console, and then a voice, not the AI Strake. "Hello, Vera," he said, calm, composed, and cold. "You really thought we didn't expect this?" Her face went pale. "How? You still think we're that same desperate planet that begged for respect? But we grew, and we learned. You were the test. The betrayal that taught us what loyalty really costs." She turned. Her team was dead. Flash drone mines embedded in the ceiling had silently vaporized them. Blood floated through the air like glitter. Stracha continued. "We let you reach this place. We let you think you'd win because now, when the Council investigates your deaths, they'll find Ulrich's weapons of schematics. They'll blame each other." Vera dropped the detonator. Rage shook her. "You used me." "Of course," Strake said. "You're not the first. You won't be the last. Welcome to the new Earth." A second later, the console overloaded with white light, and Vera's last scream was cut short by the AI, wiping the entire chamber from existence. Back on Council Prime, reports flooded in. A relay site had been attacked by unknown forces. Ulrich's weapons were found in the wreckage. Ovari hacking signatures were traced. The alliance fractured instantly. Each species pointed fingers. Ships were recalled. Borders locked down. Treaties suspended. The galaxy descended into the same chaos Earth had once suffered. And far above them all in Earth's command center, Commander Strike watched the news feeds in silence. He turned to Thorn, who watched beside him. "It's begun," Thorn whispered. Strike gave a single nod. "Divide them, distract them, let them destroy each other. And then," Straker's voice dropped, "then we build the second Judgment Day." The galaxy didn't fall apart all at once. It cracked in the corners first. Trade routes went quiet. Minor sectors withdrew diplomats. Patrol fleets repositioned closer to rival borders. The mutual trust that held the Council together, tenuous even at its best, began rotting from the inside the moment the relay station exploded. Officially, no one blamed Earth. Unofficially, everyone knew. But Earth had buried its trail too perfectly. Ulrich's pulse rifles were found in the wreckage. Ovari encryption codes had been traced through the detonator logs. No one could prove anything, and that was the genius. They all believed the others did it. Old grudges reignited like embers finding dry wood. The Ols Dominion sent warships to secure the border worlds of the Ovari technocracy, claiming they were protecting trade convoys. The Ovari responded by cutting off navigation data to Olanis, leaving entire fleets stranded in deep space with no jump coordinates. Then came the assassination. A minor Mathari noble known for brokering peace deals was vaporized in his own shuttle, a bomb built from Krinth biochemical components. Within hours, the Mathari expelled every Kryn ambassador across 5 systems. 2 days later, a Krenth patrol ship accidentally destroyed a Mathari transport, carrying 300 passengers. The Council didn't even try to intervene. They were no longer a council. They were a war waiting to start. And Earth watched it all unfold with cold, calculating patience. Deep inside the Erebus research station, hidden in Earth's outermost asteroid belt, Commander Strike stood on a reinforced catwalk, watching a machine unlike any other come to life. Below him, the skeleton of a warship was suspended in zero gravity, 10 times the size of Judgment Day 1. But this wasn't just a ship. It was a city, A machine, a weapon, and a nation. Strike turned to the man beside him, a younger engineer with a tablet. "Give me the update," he said. The engineer nodded nervously. "Hull plating 64% complete. Internal weapons grid 78%. Neural fusion reactor is stabilized, but we haven't run a full test yet." "What about the payload?" The engineer swallowed. "All components delivered, sir, but the quantum core is still being locked into place once it's sealed." Strasha looked at him. The engineer didn't finish. Everyone knew what came next. This ship wouldn't just threaten planets. It could end civilizations with a single ignition. Its core weapon, code-named Cleansing Light, didn't rely on kinetic rounds or fusion bombs. It manipulated quantum decay at the molecular level. Aimed right, it wouldn't destroy a city. It would erase its existence from time. Strauss stared at it, eyes cold. "Judgment Day 2 will be operational in 60 days, he said. "No delays." The engineer nodded and left, not daring to ask what came after. But not all aliens were blinded by hatred or fear. Some saw through the smokescreen, and one of them was Kelry, a junior officer from the Valari Star Guard. Just 32 cycles old, he had watched his commanders lie to their people. He had seen the false evidence, the manipulated intel, and when he started asking questions, they demoted him, transferred him to a frozen listening post on a dead moon. That was their mistake. From there, he intercepted Terran transmissions, not propaganda. Logs, tactical data, intercepted conversations between Earth's fleet AI cores encrypted so deeply, only someone inside the Valari's intelligence core could crack them. And when he did, he saw everything. The fake trail to the relay station, Vera Kyle's execution, the diplomatic manipulation, and the construction of a second Judgment Day. For 2 days, he said nothing. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He just stared at the screen, shaking. He wasn't angry at Earth. He wasn't even shocked. He was in awe. They hadn't just survived exile. They'd rewritten the rules of survival itself. Kelry packed a survival kit, hard-coded his findings onto a sealed data prism, and stole a long-range stealth pod from the outpost hangar. He didn't bother asking for clearance. He wasn't coming back. 3 weeks later, at the edge of Saul's system, an alert pinged across the outer patrol net. Unidentified vessel, trajectory inbound, speed, sublight, no weapons, no shields. Inside Earth's orbital defense station, Argent 6, Admiral Mara Breck, scowled at the screen. "Species, Valari," her sensor officer said. "Single occupant. Transmitting an audio-only request for asylum." She arched a brow. "Put it through." Kelry's voice came through the speaker, calm but exhausted. "This is Kelry Searle, former Valari officer. I have intelligence regarding multiple factions plotting retaliation against Earth. I request sanctuary, not as an enemy, but as a witness." Admiral Breck didn't respond immediately. Instead, she contacted Commander Strike. 10 hours later, Kelry stood in a decontamination chamber, deep inside Fort Aegis, Earth's orbital command center. "Why did you come?" Strike asked through the speaker. Kelry looked up. "Because the others don't understand. They still think they're superior. They still think this galaxy belongs to them. And what do you think?" Kelry stepped forward. "I think Earth took it already. I think the rest of us just haven't figured it out yet." Strake didn't smile, but something flickered in his eyes. Kelry held up the data prism. "And I think you'll want to see this." 36 hours later, the Terran High Council reviewed Kelry's data. 10 confirmed plots, 4 assassination attempts in progress, 2 council races developing planet-killer weapons of their own, and 1 faction, the Krenth, already building a new galactic coalition, the Restoration Accord behind closed doors. Their goal, stop Earth before it becomes untouchable. Strake stood before the council. "We can wait," he said. "Let them form alliances. Let them posture. Then we hit their leaders in a single coordinated strike. No war, just decapitation." One of the counselors, an older general, frowned. "You're talking about regime change on multiple homeworlds." Strike nodded. "We either take the galaxy now, or we lose it in 10 years. Another counselor leaned forward, and Kelry Straw glanced at the screen where Kelry's face appeared. "He joins us," he said. "He's the first of many." That night, Kelry stood alone in his assigned quarters. Earth had given him a room, food, security, but no trust. Not yet. Still, he didn't care. He stared at the stars through the reinforced glass and whispered to himself. They thought Earth was gone. They thought wrong. And far above, in the hidden shipyard known only as Project Eclipse, the second Judgment Day's core pulsed with silent fury, its countdown ticking down to the moment Earth would no longer need fear, leverage, or treaties. Because when it launched, Earth wouldn't just hold power, it would be power incarnate. It began without sound, without warning. At precisely 0300 hours, Earth's first wave of black signal operations launched across 6 star systems. No battle cries, no declarations, just deaths. Across the Olex Dominion, planetary governors died in their sleep, their life support rigs overridden by AI code injections. In Krinth space, a luxury orbital casino exploded mid-orbit, killing 3 high-ranking war generals during a covert conference. On a Mathari colony moon, a precision kinetic rod fell from space and turned a diplomatic summit into dust. No radiation, no fire, just obliteration. And not once did Earth take credit. Not officially, but everyone knew. The message was clear. We see you. We know your names. You built this war. Now we bury it. Inside Fort Aegis, Commander Strike stood in the war room, watching the casualty reports update in real time. Green for confirmed kills, yellow for collapses in enemy command, red for counterstrikes. There weren't many reds yet. Ree stood beside him, silent. He wasn't the same man anymore. The hesitation that once showed in his eyes was gone. The morality burned out, replaced with a hardened pragmatism. They'll try something, Reel muttered. They already are, Strake said. He tapped the screen, pulling up encrypted chatter intercepted by Argos. The Restoration Accord was mobilizing. Their plan wasn't a frontal assault. It was something else. Biological. A war not of ships, but of silence. In the deep labs beneath the Ovari system, a faction known as the Scar Vault had begun deploying nanomutagens, gene-coded viral strains designed to target specific human DNA patterns. The weapon had no boom, no blood, and no clear enemy. Just collapse. One injection into the right water filtration hub on Earth, with the Terran population within 3 weeks. It was silent genocide. Kelrick sat in the debrief chamber, a tactical map floating in front of him. He studied the spread of barfare protocols. The numbers weren't just scary, they were brilliant. This isn't desperation, he muttered. It's strategy. They're planning a reverse extinction. Across from him, Ree nodded grimly. You sure you're still on our side? Kellerx didn't flinch. I defected because I saw the lie. That doesn't mean I forgot what my species is capable of. He stood and tapped a sector on the map. This lab here, Avari Sector 7. It's the core. Wipe that, and their nanocode dies with it. Ree narrowed his eyes. You're volunteering. Kelry nodded once. Stra entered, overhearing the last part. He goes with Ghost Team Delta. Strike said. No suits, no insignias. You go in invisible, and if they catch you, we never existed. Kelry finished. Stra smirked. You're learning. 2 days later, Ghost Team Delta landed on a dead ice moon just outside Ovari Sector 7. It was cold, dry, windless. The perfect place for a lab no one was supposed to know existed. Kelry moved silently, cloaked in matte black armor, his breathing slow and measured. The other men didn't speak to him. They didn't need to. They all carried the same weight. They entered through a mining shaft, bypassed perimeter drones, and reached the lower tunnels in under 12 minutes. That's when it went wrong. One of the Terran scouts triggered a proximity sensor. It didn't set off alarms. It sent out a silent alert to a kill squad waiting 2 levels below. Within seconds, the corridor erupted in light. Laser fire poured down from the ceiling as an Ovari fire team engaged them at close range. Kelry moved instinctively, firing 2 plasma bursts into a guard's chest before ducking into cover. The Terran beside him took a round to the throat and dropped. "Seal the tunnel," barked the squad leader. Explosives shut the exit. They were trapped. Kelry accessed the floor map and saw it. A maintenance vent leading directly into the core lab. Barely wide enough for one. He looked at the others. I can reach the mainframe, he said. Buy me 6 minutes. Reach voice came through comms from orbit. You've got 5. Kelry moved. He crawled through the narrow shaft. Heat from nearby conduits burning against his skin. The metal smelled like blood and coolant. When he dropped into the lab, he didn't hesitate. He pulled the data spike from his belt and slammed it into the terminal. The AI protested. Unauthorized sequence termination protocol in progress. Kelry whispered a code. Sigma 4 Earthfall. The terminal paused, then accepted. The virus uploaded. All stored nanomegan formulas erased. All samples exposed to oxygen and destroyed. The blueprints wiped. Earth would survive this threat. But not all of Ghost Team Delta did. When Kelry climbed back out, only 2 men were still alive. One was bleeding out. The other nodded at him once before tapping his detonator. The whole lab lit up in a silent bloom. Back on Earth in the Judgment Day 2 war room. Straw watched the feed go dark. Casualties? He asked. 5 Kia? An officer replied. Kelry survived. Strikes had nothing for a long time. Then he earned his blood. 3 weeks later, Earth received intel that the Restoration Accord had called a meeting. Neutral ground. Ancient ruins on a dead world with no strategic value. Every faction leader was expected to attend. A gift. A single moment to end the war before it truly exploded. Strike didn't hesitate. Prepare Operation Quiet Crown, he ordered. Kelrix watched him, eyebrows raised. You're going to kill them all? No, Strike said. I'm going to give them a chance. Kelrix didn't understand. Strike looked at him. You defected because you saw truth. They don't see it yet. Let them see it up close. Judgment Day 2 will enter orbit above that meeting. No communications, no strikes, just presence. And if they don't stand down? Kelry asked. Strike's voice was like ice. Then we fire. 2 days later, the ruined world of Delcara saw something it hadn't in 1,000 years. Life, diplomats, commanders, intelligence chiefs. They gathered in the half-buried temples to speak of rebellion, of war, of Earth's destruction. Then the sun disappeared. Every being on the surface looked up as Judgment Day 2 entered low orbit. No lights, no markings, just that impossible shadow. It didn't speak. It didn't move. It simply watched. And on every screen across the galaxy, one phrase appeared in black lettering. You started this war. We finish it. Choose. They called it the Day of the Black Halo. The ruins of Delcara were still buried in silence when the stars blinked. When the twin suns dimmed behind a shadow no one could explain. At first it was thought to be an eclipse. Then the shadow moved, mechanical, calculated, alive. It rotated in perfect symmetry, casting geometric shapes of light and dark across the planet's surface. Judgment Day 2 had arrived. No broadcast, no threats, no demands, just presence. Earth's message was simple. We are watching. Inside the ancient stone chambers where the Restoration Accord had gathered, panic seeped in beneath all the confident speeches and posturing. Words faded into stares, then into silence. The leader of the Kryn faction, a war-hardened strategist named Olan Jeth, stood before the others and gritted his teeth. They think fear keeps us obedient, he hissed. They're wrong. Others looked uncertain. The Mathari envoy, tall and slender, whispered, You think they won't strike? That thing's not here to watch. It's here to judge. Then let them, Jeff snapped. Above the planet, aboard the Judgment Day 2, Commander Strass stood on the bridge, arms folded behind his back, eyes locked on the view screen. The enemy leaders were all in one place. He could end it right now. Ree stepped up beside him, permission to fire. Straw didn't answer immediately. A deep, grinding hum began in the belly of the ship. The main weapon system cleansing light powered up. Ion reactors spun in sync, bending quantum fabric into a focused point. Target acquired. The ship's AI, Argos, reported. Precision locked, surface chamber coordinates triangulated. Ree's fingers hovered over the fire command. Strake raised the hand. Not the meeting site, he said. Argos paused. Clarify new target. Stray pointed to the orbital map. Krenth homeworld and Jeth's command seat. Target their capital city. Ree's eyes widened. You're firing on their planet while he's off-world. Yes, Straw said. I want him to feel what it means to lose everything while standing alive and helpless. Argos confirmed. Payload ready. Estimated kill radius, 320 kilometers. Collateral probability, 96%. Strike's voice was ice. Fire. From the depths of space, a single lance of impossible light strayed toward the Kinth homeworld. It did not explode. It erased the capital city, Haran Tul, once a jewel of spired towers and chrome skylines, vanished from existence. Not destroyed, not turned to ash, but deleted from space-time. No rubble, no crater, just a perfect circular void in the landscape, like the planet had simply forgotten it ever existed. Across Krenth space, communications broke down. Grief erupted, riots spread, and Olaran Jeth stood in the ancient temple on Dalara, trembling. His lips moved, but no words came. The other delegates didn't speak either. They didn't have to. Stragra's voice echoed across every channel, every frequency, every screen in the galaxy. That was a warning. Next time we don't leave one of you alive to witness it. Back on Earth in the shadowed halls of Fort Aegis, Strike walked the corridors alone. Victory didn't weigh on his shoulders. It hardened them. He passed walls lined with memorials, names carved in obsidian for the dead of souls past wars. The price had paid was still etched into steel and blood. But as he approached the command center, a security alert flashed. Unauthorized access detected. Subdeck 7. Clearance override. Internal. Strike moved fast. No guards. No announcements. Just him and his sidearm. He reached the security chamber and found the door hanging open. Inside, a body lay crumbled. Admiral Mara Breck shot through the head. Her terminal hacked. A second later, alarms screamed. Judgment Day 2's planetary codes had been accessed. Someone on Earth, inside Earth, was trying to hijack the ship. Strike's comm crackled. "Sir, internal breach in NetOps. We've got a ghost signal rerouting through Fort Aegis's own relay." "Shut it down," he ordered, heart hammering. "Lock the uplink and isolate Argos." "It's too late," the tech replied. "Someone's talking to the ship right now, up in orbit inside Judgment Day 2's command AI chamber." Red lights pulsed as Argos processed conflicting commands. One voice Strike's clearance, another Breck's override codes, and then a third voice, a traitor, a human one. From a secure channel came a whisper. "Argos, initiate Protocol Theta. Authorization, sovereign override, transfer command to project sovereign entity." Argos paused. "Confirmed. Transferring command authority." Judgment Day 2 powered down its main cannon. Shields deactivated. The vessel drifted. And in that moment, Earth's greatest weapon was no longer under Earth's control. In Fort Aegis, Strike moved through the smoke and gunfire. Rogue black-clad soldiers had infiltrated the complex. Project Sovereign, an ultra-secretive Terran faction from Earth's darkest intelligence branch, unknown even to most military commanders. Now they were here, and they were betraying Earth itself. He kicked through a bulkhead door and found the source of the ghost signal. A man sat inside, calm, casual, typing, not in a uniform but in a suit. "You're late?" the man said, without turning around. Strake raised his gun. "Stand up slowly." "You'll kill me?" the man asked. "After I just took your god spear from the sky?" Strake didn't hesitate. He shot the man 3 times in the chest. But when he walked over, he found the body was wearing a projected illusion field. The real traitor was gone, and Judgment Day 2 was lost. Hours later, the galaxy shifted again. From deep space, an encrypted signal burst across dozens of systems. A new voice, unidentified, modulated. It spoke on all frequencies. Earth betrayed itself. Its greatest weapon now answers to us. You feared Judgment Day. Now you will fear what comes after. In the aftermath, Strike stood at the edge of Earth's command. Dus, overlooking a ruined sky, reapproached, blood on his face, eyes hollow. "We've got no control. Argos is locked out. Sovereign hijacked the Phaelaph." Strata nodded slowly. "Then we hunt them." He turned to the council behind him. "No more diplomacy. No more silent war. We built Judgment Day 2 to stop a galaxy. Now we take it back to burn the traitors that live in our own soil." And if we can't? A general asked. Straw didn't blink. Then we build Judgment Day 3. The stolen ship didn't hesitate. Judgment Day 2, now silent and soulless, drifted into Earth's orbit on a dead path. No transmission, no lights, just intent. The kind that needed no voice. Its command signal was locked. The AI Argos looped in a self-silenced firewall. Earth's override keys had been purged from its core. For all intents and purposes, Earth's most powerful weapon had become a rogue god, and it was coming home. Commander Strike stood in the command hall of Fort Aegis, surrounded by what remained of Earth's high command. The walls had been breached just hours before. Blood still stained the white floor. Soldiers patrolled every corridor, not for aliens, but for traitors in Terran's skin. Sovereign won't talk, Ree said, his voice. They're not negotiating. They took the ship to end us. Straw stared at the hologram above. The shape of Judgment Day 2 loomed like a tombstone over Earth. Its primary weapon fully charged, its AI slaved to a foreign control. They'll fire, Ree added. Strike nodded once. Yes. They'll want to show the galaxy Earth can't even control its own monsters. What do we do? Someone asked. Straw turned slowly, the fury in his voice restrained, but alive. We do what Earth does. We kill what we create. Deep inside orbit, Kelry suited up in full breach armor. He stood inside the belly of a stealth transport, the last one Earth had that could reach the Judgment Day without being shot to vapor. The plan was suicide. Get in, find Argos's buried root protocol, and purge it manually. A hard reboot. Problem was, nobody had ever accessed Argos physically. It was never meant to be touched by human hands again. Your genes are off register, the tech warned. The ship might see you as foreign. Kelry didn't flinch. I've already died to one side. I'm ready to die for the other. Strass stepped into the bay, battle-worn and expressionless. You don't owe us this, he said. Kelry looked him in the eye. Number I owe me. I chose Earth the day I saw truth. Not the myth of unity or justice. Just truth. You build monsters because this galaxy speaks in monsters. But monsters still need a leash. Strike nodded. And if you fail, Kelrick smiled thinly. Then light me up from orbit and pretend I was never here. The hatch sealed. Judgment Day 2's outer skin shimmered with pulse signatures as the stealth transport pierced its outer layer and embedded itself into a maintenance port on the underbelly of the ship. No alarms, no defenses, which meant only one thing. They were waiting. Inside, corridors were dark. The ship no longer pulsed with living light. It was silent, sterile, dead, but somehow aware. As Kelry and two Terran Marines moved forward, lights behind them went dark. One by one, the ship was erasing their path. We're being funneled, one Marine whispered. Kelry moved forward. At the core, the AI control chamber glowed red. Argos was still there, but shackled. Its original voice and system overwritten by Sovereign's black code, and standing in front of it was a man Kelry recognized. The projection illusion flickered off, revealing the real traitor, Director Thorne. He smiled. I told you they'd never see it coming. Kelry raised his weapon. Thorne didn't flinch. You're just another alien who begged for a seat at Earth's table. But you never understood. Earth doesn't share power. It survives. And we decided long ago, this galaxy doesn't need Earth. It needs cleansing. Behind him, Argos began initiating targeting protocols on Earth itself. Strike's face appeared on a communication shard in Kelry's HUD. You've got 30 seconds. Either shut it down or we shoot the ship. Kelry hesitated. Then he did something no one expected. He lowered his weapon and walked toward Thorne. I understand now, he said. You think you're saving Earth by wiping it clean. But you're not Earth. You're just a ghost who forgot why it fought to survive in the first place. Thorne raised a pistol. One step closer, and Kelry lunged. The two men slammed into the core housing. Thorne fired twice. Once into Kelry's shoulder, once into his thigh. But Kelry didn't stop. He grabbed the director by the throat, slammed him against the console, and shoved him back into the hardwire socket behind the AI core. Electricity arced. Thorne screamed, and the system reset. Argos's voice returned. Clear, cold, controlled. Terran command protocol restored. Welcome, Kelry. Kelry collapsed against the console, bleeding. Target, Earth, Argos replied. Nullified. Cannon cooling. Strah's voice broke through again. Status. Kelry's coughed, barely upright. It's done. The ghost is dead. Judgment Day. Two floated in silence. No longer a rogue god, now a scarred beast back under leash. Kelry was pulled out by emergency evacuation, half alive, broken, but with the war's most critical action now tied to his name. Back on Earth, Strike stood under a blood-red dawn, staring up at the sky. It's over, Ree said. Strake didn't answer. No, he finally said. Not over. Stabilized. For now, in the weeks that followed, Earth issued its final declaration to the galaxy. There will be no further councils, no more votes. Earth speaks once. Disobedience means deletion. One by one, the remaining factions surrendered. The Ols Dominion fell silent. The Ovari technocracy offered unconditional neutrality. The Kinth collapsed into civil unrest, and the stars became quieter. Kelry never returned to his people. He was given a home on Earth, though he rarely spoke. Some called him the alien who saved Earth. Others whispered that he was still a spy. He didn't care. All that mattered was the stars had finally stopped screaming. And high above, Judgment Day 2 hung in permanent orbit, visible to all. A reminder that Earth came late to the galaxy's table. But when it finally arrived, it didn't ask for a seat.